Thank you so much for joining. We introduced exchange rate notations and conventions in a very simple way earlier. In this video, I would like to give you an introduction to appreciation and depreciation of currencies. We do it very easily. We are using a very simple example, but just to get into the habit of knowing what it means if one currency appreciates and the other currency depreciates. So let's use our example that I have used in another video, which is 0.8 US dollar over AUD. Yeah, again, AUD is your base currency, your product, so to say, and this is your price quote or term currency. Let's assume the new exchange rate is like this. And someone asks you about, did the Australian dollar appreciate or depreciate against the US dollar? First question. And then the second question is, did the US dollar appreciate or depreciate against the Australian dollar? So let's start very easily. This question, did the Australian dollar appreciate or depreciate against the US dollar? So our product, the currency we want to know more about, is Australian dollar. That's our currency we are concerned with. Did the AUD appreciate or depreciate? In order to answer these questions, we need to look at exchange rates that are expressed in a way where your product is expressed as base currency. Yeah? So if we want to know more about AUD, we need to look at exchange rates that put AUD in the denominator, which is the case here and here. Yeah, so to answer these questions, we can look at this exchange rate and this exchange rate. And what we see is the number has increased. Yeah, so we know from 0.8 to 0.9, the Australian dollar has appreciated because the number has increased. And it makes sense because AUD is your product. That's the thing you want to buy. Doesn't matter buy or sell, but that's a product you want to buy as a customer. You need to pay more US dollar for your product, which means your Australian dollar is more valuable now, which means you need to pay more. If we look at the second question, did the US dollar appreciate or depreciate? Yes, obviously, because of mathematics, we know it's the opposite. But just to go back and make it simple for you to easily understand, did the US dollar appreciate or depreciate against the Australian dollar? Your product is this one, which means your product is US dollar. We can't use those exchange rates. Yes, we can. We could divide. We can do some changes. But what I would like to introduce is what you do first is you always take the inverse. So what you have is the inverse, which is here. You take the inverse of the first one, which is 1 AUD over 0.8 US dollar, which is basically 1.25 AUD over 1 US dollar. So this is the equivalent or the inverse to this. And then the new one, what you would do is you would do the same, 1.0 AUD divided 0.9 US dollar equals 1 US dollar, and this would be 1.11 AUD. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Here again, important, your base currency / your product is here and is here, and is has the value of 1, which is always important. So if you want to answer a question about US dollar, then the first thing is what you do is you change your exchange rate to have your product in the denominator. And then what you see from 1.25, this is the information about your product. The information about your product, the number has decreased, which then is depreciated. Yeah. So I know you can do the inverse right away. You see if this is appreciated, this is depreciated. But if the problems become more complex, I would always go back and say, okay, what is the currency we are concerned with? Let's put all our exchange rates, new exchange rate, old exchange rate, even if we do other example with forward rates, put your exchange rate so that it reflects or it puts your currency of concern in the denominator. And then it's very easy to see whether one currency has appreciated or depreciated. And here you can see again, when we look at from US dollar perspective, your US dollar has depreciated because you need less a Australian dollar. So the US dollar has become less valuable, cheaper, because you only need to pay 1.11 Australian dollar before you had to pay 1.25 Australian dollar. Yeah, good. A little bit of a different view, but I hope you find this easy. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.